Scoring 70 points in an NBA game is absolutely insane, almost impossible. And here's the wildest part. In over 75 years of NBA history, only 10 players have ever done it. Some were chasing MVPs, some are hunting scoring titles, and some just caught fire and turned into human cheat codes for a night. But get this, one guy did it 6 times. And yeah, it's the same dude who supposedly scored 100 points in a game, and we're still waiting for the footage to magically appear 60 years later. So buckle up, because we're breaking down every single player who's ever hit that legendary 70-point milestone. And when we get to Wilt, let's just say it gets completely ridiculous. Alright, we gotta hop in a time machine for this one, all the way back to 1960, back when all the greats played against mailmen. To be fair, back then some of the basketball looked more like a YMCA pickup run. But Elgen Baylor, who in my opinion is one of the most underappreciated legends in NBA history, showed one night why he was on a different level. On November 15th, Baylor absolutely lost his mind against the New York Knicks, dropping 71 points, the second highest scoring game in NBA history at the time, only behind Wilt. And remember, he did this without hitting a single three-pointer. Every bucket was either a silky mid-range jumper, a hard drive to the rim, or some wild acrobatic finish that left defenders spinning like they were on ice skates. The Lakers smoked the Knicks 123-108, and that 71-point explosion set a franchise record that stood for more than 40 years. Before Kobe, before Shaq, before Showtime, Elgin Baylor was the original Lakers superstar, and nights like this are exactly why. Now let's head to 1978, the final day of the regular season. The scoring title that year was neck and neck. David Thompson and George Gervin were separated by just fractions of a point. Gervin, who played later that night, knew exactly what he needed. So he went nuclear against the Detroit Pistons. He dropped 32 points in the first quarter, which was a league record at the time, and had 53 by halftime. By the time the game was over, Thompson had scored 73 points, launching himself to the top of the scoring charts. For a few hours, it looked like he had pulled it off. But here's where it turns heartbreaking. Gervin, who played later that night, knew exactly what he needed. 58 points to steal the title back. And instead of cracking under the pressure, Gervin casually scored 63 a few hours later against the New Orleans Jazz and just edged out David Thompson to win the scoring title that season. So think about that. Thompson drops 73 points, one of the greatest scoring games ever, and still loses the scoring title the same night. Absolutely brutal. But even in heartbreak, his performance became legendary, proving he was one of the most unstoppable scorers of his era. Now let's jump to 1994, again going to the final day of the regular season, and just like Thompson vs. Gervin in 78, the scoring title was coming down to the wire between Shaq and David Robinson. Shaq was in first place, averaging 29.3 points per game, and David Robinson was right behind him at 29.2. For Robinson to steal it, he needed something ridiculous, and on April 24th, he delivered. Robinson went full-on assassin mode against the Los Angeles Clippers. He went 26 of 41 from the field, 18 of 25 from the free throw line, and 14 rebounds for good measure. Every time the Spurs fed him the ball, he spun past defenders for easy layups or buried silky mid-range jumpers. The Clippers had no answer. By halftime, it felt like Robinson was scoring on every possession. By the end of the night, he had 71 points, the third highest scoring performance in NBA history at the time. And more importantly, it bumped his season average to 29.8 points per game, officially passing Shaq and snatching the scoring crown at that last possible moment. It was one of the rare times Robinson abandoned his usual team-first admiral mindset and played like a man on a mission to destroy everything in his path. And it worked. If Wilt's 100 is the mythical scoring game nobody ever saw, Kobe's 81 is the one we'll never forget, because we all actually watched it happen. On January 22, 2006, Kobe Bryant turned the Toronto Raptors into his personal practice squad, dropping 81 points in what looked like a video game on rookie mode. And poor Jalen Rose. He's had a great career, but let's be honest, he's best remembered for being the guy Kobe absolutely torched that night. The Lakers were actually losing at halftime, which, of course, Kobe took personally. He scored 55 points in the second half alone, more than most NBA players score in an entire game, and it was peak Mamba. Absurd fadeaways, contested threes, impossible layups, and a couple of pull-up daggers that made Toronto's defenders look like traffic cones. What makes this even crazier? Kobe was efficient, 28 of 46 from the field, 7 of 13 from deep, and 18 of 20 from the line. No gimmicks, no chasing stats, just pure, methodical destruction. The Lakers won 122-104, and Kobe's 81 remains the second highest scoring game in NBA history. But for everyone who watched it live, it felt just as legendary as Wilt's 100, maybe more because this one was on TV, and Jalen Rose still has to hear about it every single day. Fast forward to 2017, and we're not talking about a scoring title or a playoff push. This was just a 20-year-old kid putting the league on notice. Devin Booker walked into Boston and casually torched the Celtics for 70 points. The crazy part? The Suns still lost the game. Booker was out there doing everything. Deep threes, smooth mid-range pull-ups, crafty drives, floaters in traffic, and Phoenix was basically saying, yeah, we're gonna lose anyway. Might as well let this kid cook. By the fourth quarter, they were intentionally fouling just to stop the clock and give Booker more chances to score, like they were running a personal stat padding mission. And honestly, nobody cared. 21 of 40 from the field, 24 of 26 from the line. And when he finally checked out, Boston fans who had booed him all game gave him a standing ovation. The Suns lost 130-120, but who remembers that? This was the night Devin Booker officially arrived, becoming the youngest player in NBA history to drop 70 and making it look too easy. Donovan Mitchell's 71-point game in 2023 might be the most chaotic 70-point performance ever. The Cavaliers were down big to the Chicago Bulls, and Mitchell basically said, fine, I'll do it myself. What made this game so insane wasn't just the scoring, it was how he did it. Spider only had 16 points at half, and managed to drop 55 points in the second half and overtime, hitting threes, slashing through defenders, and finishing tough layups through contact like it was nothing. But the craziest moment came at the end of regulation. Mitchell intentionally missed a free throw, grabbed his own rebound in midair, and tied the game with a clutch putback. The arena went nuts. The Cavs won in overtime, and Mitchell finished with 71 points, 11 assists, and 8 rebounds. It wasn't just a scoring night, it was one of the greatest all-around performances in NBA history, and he became the only player besides Wilt and David Thompson to ever score 70+ and drop double digits in assists in the same game. Just a few weeks after Mitchell's explosion, Dame decided to remind everyone who the real scoring assassin was. On February 26, 2023, Dame Time went nuclear, dropping 71 points on the Houston Rockets in just 39 minutes. It was probably one of the most efficient 70-point games of all time. He went 22 of 38 from the field, 13 of 22 from 3, and 14 of 14 from the free throw line. Those 13 made threes are also tied for the second most in a game in NBA history. Dame wasn't just scoring, he was surgically dismantling Houston's defense, pulling up from the logo, draining step-back threes, and driving for crazy finishes. The Blazers won 131-114, and Dame walked off to a standing ovation, casually holding the ball like it was just another night at the office. For a guy who's had countless Dame Time moments, this was his masterpiece. Joel Embiid's 70-point game in 2024 wasn't just a scoring feat, it was pure bully ball dominance. On the 18th anniversary of Kobe Bryant's 81, Embiid decided to pay tribute in his own way, torching the San Antonio Spurs for 70 points and 18 rebounds. Embiid was unstoppable. Turnaround jumpers, face-up drives, spin moves, and endless trips to the free throw line. He shot 24 of 41 from the field and 21 of 23 from the line, overpowering defenders like they weren't even there. Victor Wembanyama, the Spurs' prized rookie, could do nothing but watch Embiid put on a clinic in post moves and footwork. The Sixers won 133-123, and Embiid passed Wilt Chamberlain's franchise record for the highest scoring game in 76ers history. It was the ultimate MVP statement game, proving once again that when Embiid was locked in when he's fully healthy, it looks like no single player alive can guard him one-on-one. 4 days. That's how long Joel Embiid got to enjoy being the newest member of the 70-point club, because literally just 4 days after Embiid's 70 ball, Luka decided to one-up him with 73. Talk about stealing someone's thunder. And this was Luka at his absolute peak. Crafty, relentless, and completely unguardable. Against the Atlanta Hawks, Luka went full Luka magic, scoring 73 points on 25 of 33 shooting, making it one of the most efficient 70-point games in NBA history. What made it so ridiculous was how effortless it looked. Luka didn't rely on monster dunks or logo threes. He just picked the Hawks apart with footwork, pump fakes, step backs, and those slow motion drives that shouldn't work but always do. The Mavericks won 148 to 143, and Luka added 10 rebounds and 7 assists for good measure. At just 24 years old, he became the youngest player since Wilt to drop 70 plus, and he basically said to Embiid, "Nice game, big fella, but watch this." So of course, we had to save the best for last. So as we've seen, 9 of the 10 players on this list had one magical night in their NBA career where they dropped 70 or more points in a game. But for Wilt Chamberlain, he managed to do it 6 times. Yeah, 6 separate games where he scored at least 70 points, including of course his iconic 100-point game. And yeah, I said it before, we're still waiting to see the footage of that. But honestly, all jokes aside, from that era, Wilt legit looked like he was playing a different sport. On December 8, 1961, Wilt dropped 78 points and grabbed 43 rebounds against the Lakers in a triple overtime thriller. That's right, 43 rebounds. Even crazier, he lost the game, 151 to 147. Elgen Baylor and Jerry West somehow survived Wilt going full god mode. But Wilt didn't slow down. A month later, on January 13, 1962, he scored 73 points and pulled down 36 rebounds against the Chicago Packers in a 135 to 117 win. Then came the night that turned Wilt into a basketball myth. On March 2, 1962, playing in Hershey, Pennsylvania against the New York Knicks, Wilt scored 100 points on 36 of 63 shooting and 28 of 32 from the free throw line. Yes, Wilt, a career 51% free throw shooter, barely missed that night. The Warriors won 169 to 147, and Wilt's 100 instantly became the most unbreakable record in sports. And he still wasn't done. On November 3, 1962, Wilt casually poured in 72 points against the Los Angeles Lakers in a 127-115 loss. But it didn't matter because by that point, dropping 70 was light work for him. Then 13 days after that, on November 16, 1962, Wilt casually dropped 73 points against the Knicks in a 127-111 win. And finally, on March 10, 1963, Wilt poured in 70 points against the Syracuse Nationals in a 162-145 loss, just to remind everyone that he could still do it whenever he felt like it. And if all of that isn't ridiculous enough, remember this: in the 1961-62 season alone, Wilt averaged 50.4 points per game. Putting up 50 is a historic achievement for any player, and Wilt averaged 50 for a season. Everyone else on this list had one legendary performance, but Wilt had an entire career of them. And a stat that's almost as crazy as him averaging a game for a season is that Wilt had a 3-3 record in the games he scored 70. How do you win as many games as you lose when you score 70 in a game? I can't explain that one. Scoring 70 or more points in an NBA game is one of the rarest achievements in sports. Every player on this list had the right night, the right rhythm, and the kind of unstoppable confidence that very few players ever experience. From Elgen Baylor setting the standard in 1960, to Kobe's iconic 81, to all the modern guys from Dame and Mitchell, to Luka and Embiid proving that this level of scoring is still possible in today's game, each performance is a snapshot of basketball greatness. And then, of course, we had Wilt, who did it so often that it almost feels unreal. Do you think anyone will ever break that 100-point record in a game? Let us know in the comments below. So there you have it, the only 10 players to ever score 70 or more points in a game. Which one do you think is the most impressive? Kobe's 81 to win a game? Or Wilt's legendary 100? Let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like the video, subscribe for more basketball history and deep dives, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new upload. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep appreciating the legends who make basketball history.